Hiya, you can probably not see me very well now. I don't know if I'm in the picture or not, but I've just arrived at Portseaton and I wanted to show you how I selected where I'm going to start painting. So I'm interested to paint that section of 4 boats with a special focus on the second black one that's in the centre of the 4, the first 4. There's also this lovely big boat that's here. I've set my easel up here on the platform. It's really easy because there's access to the boot of the car where all my stuff is. There's my swimming togs and towel as well, just in case. And I've attached the iPad holder to the boot. Okay, this is the kind of an easy spot for me to find a way in. And I do like the configuration of those 4 boats because of the arc of the way the front, the one in the foreground on the right hand side is lower down significantly than the back end of the blue one. And I like how the other black one is pointing at us almost symmetrically, and I feel like I'd like to focus on that one. So that's my way in. It may be that as I paint it transpires that something totally different emerges. I've resisted painting this section because I feel like I have done it before, but I feel like there's a kind of a flatness with it being the very first painting. I don't want to just paint boats that are all in a line and there's not a huge amount of interest in the foreground or much depth to find there. So as a starting point, I'm not going to start with all of those. I mean, I don't know if the zoom in works here, but if I was to do it, I might just zoom in on one, or even maybe incorporate the one that's there. Now that's a more interesting composition, isn't it? See the one that's facing us on the left, and the fact that there's a bend in the port creates a little bit more depth there as well. And even the houses might be of interest and the trees above. But something significant to me here is the brightness of the water. So when you're looking to find what to paint, tone will be a huge feature, like to find the darks and lights in order to get an interesting composition for you is very important. So I would half close your eyes in order to find the proportion of light to dark. And here the water is the brightest part. Oh, off he goes. And where the light is falling on the water, and then there's a cast shadow from the wall onto the water, which makes it really dark. Well, I'm glad I hadn't started painting that one. It's kind of exciting how the water is changing tone there and pattern as it moves away. And there is something quite lovely about the arc of rocks here, where the rocks meet the water in the front, probably because of that sharp contrast of dark to light. Marina, there's a few rocks now if you wanted to tackle them again and take a photograph of this section of the harbour. So yes, there's a possibility of doing a couple of those boats maybe, or zoning in and even just choosing to do a single boat, maybe having some of the background in there as well. I hope you're not feeling seasick with all the shaking now. But I just wanted to kind of go through a little bit the process of selecting a composition. Now I know the tide is coming in as well, which is a feature too to take note of, and I'll also make sure that I do 2 or 3. I'll keep a liveliness about me. It's basically what I want to do, so that I'm not getting so stuck in the precision of it that I can't take a couple of inches rise in the tide during the course of this painting. So there's some exciting things happening over there too, and the way those masts and the tall poles reach above, like the verticals of those poles reaching above the wall of the harbour and covering the headland, the land in the background, Fife across the Forth there. It's kind of creating a composition of its own when there's some things that link the foreground to the background, like those poles that extend up the way. And then the foreground there, the ripples of the water could be contrived in order to lead the eye in to those boats. There's another thing I wanted to show you as well now. You will be getting seasick. So that's quite a nice composition too, that boat. Although I don't really like the background of those buildings so much. Mary did a nice thing when she did that boat. She went right down in front of it, which I think is a great idea. And then there's a couple of boats over here. I was appreciating too, I don't know if you can really see it, but the headland over there has got the sun falling on it beautifully. And I'd say with the tide coming in now after the painting, I'll have an old swim. But I wanted to show you as well these 2 boats that are static. 3 boats that are static there. It's quite a nice composition too. In fact, even wandering about with the iPad helps me to decide what it is that I'm interested in. I'll go a bit closer because I painted that boat before that one in the middle, I find it has got a really nice portrait kind of look to it when you stand in front of it here. It's quite a nice thing just to explain the symmetry of it, and the slight asymmetry with the left pole sticking up. And even the birds around it there are beautiful, aren't they? I was going to say I'll take a photo, but sure I can't. I could do a screenshot maybe later on. Okay, so that's it. Kind of to help you just understand what my process of selecting composition involves. And a lot of it is down to nearness to the car as well, and just the convenience of having the car close to me, because it's about morale in the end and keeping morale up, and you want to have as much comfort as you can starting off. You'll be energized by the first one then, and by the time you're on to 2 or 3, you'll end up, you know, running around the shore trying to find your favorite composition. There'll be energy generated through the actual doing of it. Speaking of which, I'm going to make a start, because I don't want to get stuck in any sort of a rut. I want to get my materials out and begin getting my hands stuck into colour, paint, paper, glue. Let's see what happens. I mean, I have no plan about what I'm going to use yet, but I've got all my bags of stuff there, so I'll just pull them out, put them on the ground beside me, get my water out, everything easily accessible, and then I'm going to start really looking. But I've got my way in. I've got those boats together that are lifting even higher now with the tide coming in. Okay, so see you soon.